They agreed that one brother will take the bag, the other will wait in the car.
No. What?
They get there and the older brother gets out of the car, grabs the bag, walks down the alley, and never comes back.
Stop.
Happy Thursday.
Oh, we started? Hey.
Oh, yeah.
Happy Thursday.
Right. I'm hitting record. Yep. It's recording. How are y'all doing? Hey, quick cue before I jump in, because I am going to jump in quick because this is a doozy. This is a long one. Perhaps my longest one yet. Who knows? Let's see. Hey, listeners, y'all are in the future. Has the United Healthcare CEO shooter been caught yet?
Yeah, that's crazy, right?
Fascinated by this. Here's why. First of all, no one seems mad at him. No, I have not seen a murder this celebrated since Osama bin Laden.
Oh
I mean,
God.
no one is mad at him. It's crazy. Now, here's what's fascinating. The surveillance they have on this guy,
I know.
crystal clear. You know how many people are seeing that and being like, holy shit, I know who that is. Am I going to call? I'm not going to call.
Oh.
It's crazy.
Oh.
Isn't
Okay. I
You're
guess
not following?
Well, no, I am. You know more about it than I do, I guess.
Oh my God. It's fascinating me.
He's out of the country is what everyone's thinking for sure.
I mean, sure. I would assume so as well. But now people are saying the one where he's pulling down his mask and smiling is at someone else. But that
I
one
know.
really got me into it because I started cracking up at the thought of this guy about to be going to commit murder, still thinking with that pecker, flashing a smile, flirting with the girl behind the counter.
Oh, is that what he was doing?
Yeah, he pulls his mask down because she was like kind of flirting with him, and he wanted to flash those pearly whites. I'm like, y'all, boys are so stupid.
Well, I think this is his profession.
Thinking with his PP.
I know, but he's not worried. He's not stressed. He has a job to do. He's going to get in, get out.
I can't decide about that.
You don't think?
I think
That he was hired?
No, I don't know about that because I think he would have left his head in the game and not pulled down his mask to flash a smile at the cute girl behind the counter.
Was that in Atlanta?
No, that was in New York. As he was like going on his way to commit murder, he's like, I can smile at her. No one will know. If he is a professional hitman, that seems like a bad move. But then again, like the backpack in Central Park, that could be a ploy. Like maybe he is profesh. I kind of have a feeling he is someone scorned by the insurance company because.
Oh, I think that someone who hired him is for sure. But
people say that he may be a hitman, like for the wife, because they've been secretly separated for a long time, and it's weird that she didn't immediately put out a easy 7-figure reward for the killer when her husband was shot that morning. There's things like that, but I don't know. I don't know if he's profesh, but it is the smiling, the flirtatious smile really cracked me up.
I didn't know that that's what he was doing.
Even when you're on your way to commit the most severe crime, one of the most severe crimes you can commit, you still got to flirt, got to flash that smile.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows? I'm very interested to see how this pans out. I'm not forming an opinion yet because a lot of people are celebrating him.
I didn't even know that.
There was a shooter lookalike gathering in Central Park 2 days ago where everyone dressed as a hood and a mask. Like people, Rob Anderson, the hilarious Instagram account, y'all should all follow him.
Yeah.
When they released the picture of him in the cab, again looking straight at the surveillance camera. Rob Anderson threaded, whatever you say. Would y'all please stop harassing this poor man? I was like, y'all.
Oh my God. Wow.
I'm never on board for a dad getting murdered, but
no.
I also am very intrigued for a motive. Like if this guy's baby was denied coverage and died, I'm not mad at him either.
Oh God. Okay. I don't want to get into it.
Okay. Well, sorry. I'm just so invested in that manhunt. So we'll see.
I'm
eager for a motive. I'm interested to see how it pans out because I'm shocked they have not found him yet. Crystal clear pictures all over the place.
I know. That's why he's long gone. He's in sunny Mexico. I don't know where he is, but you know.
Oh, speaking of Mexico.
Oh, hey.
I am telling y'all a story out of Mexico today.
Wow. Hola.
Hola. It's crazy. Okay. It's long, and I feel like this has been a theme in a couple of my stories recently. Stick to it until
Oh,
the end.
wow.
Do not turn this thing off until you hear the music playing. If I haven't said
Mm.
patrons yet, it's not over. You
Mm.
understand?
Wow.
Okay.
Hold on to your fucking hats.
For real. Sources.
You haven't even said who it is. Again, you
Oh
do
my
that a
God. I
lot
always
lately.
do that. I'm telling y'all about Eduardo and Jayne Valseca.
Mhm.
Sources. A book called We Have Your Husband, The Washington Post, NBCnews.com, Dateline, LA Times. Jane Rager was born on September 5th, 1966 in Silver Spring, Maryland, near Washington, D.C. She studied theater at the University of Maryland, but after a year, she put college on hold to move to New York and pursue her dreams of acting. She did pretty well acting, actually. She got a role in a soap opera. I don't know which one.
What?
She did. I know. All the
IMDb
sources.
that shit.
I did. The other
Mm.
things have trumped her IMDb.
Got it.
And all the sources just said a soap opera. So I don't know if it was like a really short-lived one. I'm sure it
Yeah.
would have said Days of Our Lives or something.
Mhm.
She did a few commercials that I think were national. And she had a small part on the 1990 movie Stella, which starred Bette Midler and John Goodman. Love
Oh,
that.
Stella.
Right. By the early 90s, though, she was sort of over it. She said she wanted a job that had more to do with her mind and not her looks. She's really pretty.
Mhm.
So when she was 23 years old, she moved back to DC and got a job with a real estate developer.
Mm.
In March 1992, she was using a payphone outside of a grocery store, and that's where she met Eduardo Valseca. They made small talk, and she was immediately taken by his accent. She was fluent in Spanish, so they started speaking Spanish, and she was smitten.
Mhm.
Eduardo was an art dealer and investor from Mexico. He had adult children from a previous marriage and was 18 years older than Jane. He was also the son of Jose Garcia Valseca, who was a wealthy businessman who started a chain of newspapers in Mexico that ultimately became one of the largest newspaper chains in Latin America. He was,
Damn, son.
yeah, he was Mexico's William Randolph Hearst, if you will.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Very,
Yeah.
very successful.
Okay.
Jane and Eduardo started dating, and things got serious pretty quickly. On one of their first dates, Eduardo flew her to one of his favorite places in Mexico, a town called San Miguel de Allende. It's
Mhm.
in central Mexico, about 3.5, 4 hours north of Mexico City. Jane fell in love with the city, and in July 1992, they moved there. I mean, this is a whirlwind romance.
Yeah. Love it.
2 years later, in July 1994, they got married and went on to have 3 kids, 2 sons, Fernando and Emiliano, and a daughter named Naya. In 2002, when Jane was 36 years old, she found out she had breast cancer.
Oh.
She knew something was wrong when Naya, who was 10 months old at this point, their youngest daughter, she went and nursed on one side. And a little while later, that same breast was hurting, and then
Oh my
Jane
God.
found a lump.
Oh.
She immediately started chemo, but it spread so quickly that she also had surgery and started radiation. She was back and forth between Mexico and DC, where her doctor was. But finally, in March 2006, doctors confirmed that they got all the cancer and she was given a clean bill of health.
Good.
Phew.
Phew.
The Valsecas bought a 1,000-acre ranch right outside of town where they had horses and other animals. They had a garden. The kids could run around. It was great.
Yeah.
Paradise.
Mhm.
Jane was really passionate about the Waldorf education, so she and Eduardo started a Waldorf school in San Miguel, which was actually built on their property. It was like half a mile away from their
Wow.
house, and all
Yeah.
their kids went there.
Mhm.
On the morning of June 13th, 2007, Jane and Eduardo drove their kids to school like they did every morning. Jane took the kids inside, and when she came out, she saw a man in the parking lot that she didn't recognize. He was just kind of sitting in his car, and as one of the founders, she knew all the parents. So she
Yeah.
was like, weird, who is that? And nobody inside knew. She and Eduardo start driving back home, and they notice that the stranger follows behind them. They don't think much of it, but as they're driving down this small road, a pickup truck suddenly came out of nowhere and pulled alongside them. They look at the driver, and he's scary. He seems like he's trying to run them off the road. And at this point, the stranger from the school parking lot really picks up the pace behind them. So they're like, Jan and Eduardo are like, what the fuck are these guys doing? Then all of a sudden, the truck next to them pulls in front of them, slams on his
Oh.
brakes, causing Eduardo to slam on his brakes, and the car behind him crashes into the back of their car.
Yeah.
So now Eduardo and Jayne are trapped between these lunatics, and all of a sudden they're surrounded. There were at least 10 men and 5 cars ambushing them.
That's terrifying.
The man in the truck jumped out. Now he's wearing a mask, and he's holding a hammer in one hand and a gun in the other. He walks up to their car and starts shattering the car windows. Then he hits Eduardo in the head with the hammer and pulled him out of the car. Another man ran to Jayne's side, opened the door, and dragged her out. She's kicking and screaming and tries to grab hold of a barbed wire fence that was right next to her and sliced the shit out of her hand. The men forced them to the ground, bound their wrists and ankles with duct tape, and threw pillowcases over their heads before putting them in another SUV that was waiting nearby. This is insane. As they sped off in this SUV, and all the SUVs are speeding off, the Waldorf school bus is taking a group of kids on a field trip right behind them, and their oldest son, Fernando, was on it.
No.
And he remembers seeing this and thinking it was so weird that that many SUVs would be driving so fast down the small road. Obviously, not knowing that his parents were bound in the back of one of them.
Well, can't he see their car and be like, well, wait, that driver, that's my parents' car, and all the windows are busted and all the shit?
I think where the crash happened was off on a little side road, and they were dragged to another SUV, like waiting nearby. Okay. But no, he did not see any of that.
Oh my God. How old is the oldest? Do their kids' ages again, actually.
12. By the time this happens, Fernando, who was on the field trip, was 12. He's the oldest.
God.
The middle son is 7. The daughter is 6 at this moment. As they're driving, Jayne is trying to comfort Eduardo because he's hysterical and likely concussed from being hit in the head with a hammer. But the kidnappers kept telling her to shut up and threatened to hurt them even more if she kept talking. After driving for a couple miles, they hear the static of a walkie-talkie, and the car suddenly stops. There's a lot of commotion. The doors are opening and closing, and Jayne hears Eduardo yell, "No." But it's muffled, and she could tell he was outside of the car. Then it goes completely quiet. She realizes she's in the SUV alone. Her hands were bound in front, so she took off the pillowcase just in time to see that the kidnappers had put Eduardo in another car and were driving off with them, leaving her stranded.
Oh my God. She memorized the type. Get that color.
Oh, she'll do you one better than that.
Get that license plate.
Okay. She does. She described the car as a dark color, older model Ford Explorer or Chevy Blazer. Even better, she got the license plate. UPC 5152.
Wow. Your mind and such a traumatic event. That's insane.
How insane is that?
Good for her.
She saw them turn on the highway going away from San Miguel, and she lost sight of them. And the plate was from a neighboring town, not San Miguel.
Okay.
She throws herself over the seat and gets out of the car and hops towards the highway.
Still she's bound. Fully alone. They just abandoned her.
Oh, yeah. No, they left her on the side of the road.
All right.
Left her on the side of the road. So she hops towards the main road. There was an older man riding his bike as she got to the main road, and she screamed for a cell phone, but he didn't have one.
Oh, fuck.
Meanwhile, car after car is driving by, and she is screaming for someone to stop to help her, but nobody does. She's covered in blood from the broken glass and the barbed wire fence, and she's bound. So she knows that they're probably terrified, but damn.
I know.
How irritating.
Right.
Then she sees that a city bus is driving up, and she launches herself in front of it, forcing the driver to stop.
There you go.
She hops up to the step and yells for the driver to radio the police, but the radio is broken. So she pleads for someone in the bus to give her a cell phone, and the only one guy offered her one, but his phone was dead.
What?
I mean,
hell is happening?
Chaos. She's like, I look like an insane American. Like, I think no one wanted to help me. It's just awful.
God.
So the bus driver gets out and flags down a taxi, who finally calls the police.
Thanks, Cabby.
Thank you.
Jeez.
The cops show up, and Jayne leads them to the SUV that they left her in. The keys were in the ignition, and it was running. She didn't realize this in her panic to get out of there, and guilt washes over her. She thinks she could have driven after them, saved Eduardo, at least seen where they were going.
No, she would have been killed.
No, exactly. She was. She said when they made that realization, the cop gave her. He knew what she was thinking, and he was like, "That would have been so extremely dangerous. Y'all both would have been killed. it's a good thing that she did not realize it was on.
Divine intervention.
Yeah. No way.
You weren't supposed to realize that was on because that would have been a bad move for sure.
Yeah. On the ground next to the car, they found a white envelope. On it was written Senora Jayne, and Jane's heart stops because she spells her name Jayne, and on the note, it's spelled correctly. Literally nobody spells it correctly. So these guys...
Well, that narrows down the pool.
Well, or these guys either had been watching them for a while and really doing their homework, or they knew one of them.
Right.
They open the envelope and it's a ransom note that says, Senora, go home, open this email with this password. They had like a new email address set up for her. We have Eduardo. Eduardo is with us. Wait for our message to arrive.
Oh my God.
Jane goes home and immediately contacts the AFI, which is Mexico's equivalent to the FBI. That the AFI told her that they're going to send an agent from Mexico City to move in and help her navigate negotiating because this was clearly a sophisticated operation and she needed someone there 24/7. As she waited, her kids came home from school and asked where Dad was.
No.
Again, at this point, they're 6, 7, and 12 years old. She told the youngest two, Naya and Emiliano, that he was away on business, last minute business. Yeah. But she sat their oldest, Fernando, down and told him what was going on. Those poor babies.
Oh, God.
She also called her mom, who lived in Virginia, and told her what was going on, and the mom immediately flew down to help.
Yeah.
At 3 a.m. the following morning, she got a call from the AFI agent sent to help her. He said he was at the bus stop in San Miguel and needed a ride to come get him. She was like, okay. And she went to the bus stop and honestly really confused because she thought he'd be pulling up in some like tricked out, bulletproof, blacked out SUV, and he didn't even have a car. And she was like, okay. When she meets him, she's doubly confused. He looks incredibly young. He's small in stature and he has a backpack. She said he literally looked like a student.
Oh, God.
He gets in the car and Jane asks if he has a gun, to which he said no. And she's like, for fuck's sake, this guy's not getting my husband back. This kid, no.
Yeah. Doogie Howser here is not helping me.
Right. She's really upset and he can see that, so he explains. He's a seasoned agent with a lot of experience in hostage negotiation, and he looks a lot younger than he actually is. And sending him there with no car, no gun, very unassuming, was strategic.
Oh, okay. All right.
He told her that their family's every move is being watched, and if the kidnappers see a bunch of AFI agents moving into the house, Eduardo's life is over.
All right. I'm not mad at it. Okay.
No.
Makes sense.
Makes sense. And by the way, we have no idea who this agent is. It's still top secret.
Yeah. Sure.
And we don't have a name. So I'm going to keep referring to him as the AFI agent.
Okay.
They get to the house and he sets up a laptop to communicate with the other agents back in Mexico City who are investigating the kidnapping from there. They learn that the group who took Eduardo was likely the Marxist political group called the EPR. They're extremely dangerous. And I know we don't do organized crime really on here, but I'm telling you, this story is insane.
No, I have no doubt.
Knowing who's behind it, the AFI agent told Jane to essentially prepare herself because this is not going to be a day or two kidnapping for a quick ransom. This was likely going to go on for months, if not longer.
Is she a citizen? Oh, she had all 3 kids there too. Yeah, they've been there for a while, huh?
Yeah, they've been here.
Okay.
Yeah, they moved in 92. We're in 2007. Yeah. No, they've been there for a long time.
Okay.
And all the while, AFI said nobody can know about the kidnapping, especially the media. So like imagine your loved one is taken and you're not allowed to say a word to anyone. Normally you want every news station in the world blasting that story out.
Pressure on them. And like his family. Does his family know? Like, can she tell them?
Yeah, he has adult kids from his first marriage.
Yeah.
So I don't know when they find out, but they do know.
Are they in Mexico or are they in the States?
I believe they're in Mexico.
Okay.
And you'll know why I say that at the very, very end.
Oh, okay.
They're not involved. That kind of sound like.
You'll
see. There's something at the end. And she had to go back to her 12-year-old son and be like, "You cannot tell anyone about this." Yeah, I mean, a 12-year-old, which he doesn't. He's good.
Yeah.
Per their instructions, she waits for the kidnappers to email, but nothing comes until 5 days after the kidnapping.
Torture.
Almost a week later, she's just sitting in silence, not knowing what to do.
Oh my God.
5 days later, she finally gets an email telling her that they want $8 million in US currency, all in $100 bills. She is shocked. This is the big mistake the kidnappers made.
Yeah.
Because of Eduardo's family and who his dad was, they assumed the Valsecas are rich. But the truth is, the only thing Eduardo had from his father's inheritance was a luxury Pullman train car that his dad once operated his company out of. There's pictures of it. It's gorgeous. It's awesome. But like, they did not have any money. Any money they did have
went to the school, probably.
Went to the school and went to the ranch mostly.
Yeah.
They have 1,000 acres. And even that was not worth anywhere near $8 million. They got it in foreclosure. Like it's not some huge compound. I mean, a big mistake.
Right.
Also, everything they did have was in Eduardo's name. She didn't have access to anything except a shared checking account. The cars, the ranch, the train car, any savings they had, all had to be signed off by Eduardo. So even if she wanted to sell everything and come up with some money, it was impossible.
Oh, shit. They were better off kidnapping her.
That's exactly what, I can't remember which source said. They kidnapped the wrong spouse.
Yeah. Oof. But now they have to get U.S. involved, right? They're demanding USD?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, not yet.
Oh, they don't? Okay.
No, they don't. I don't even know why I said not yet. In addition to demanding $8 million, the email from the kidnappers instructed her on how to respond. She can't just hit reply. She had to put in an ad in a local newspaper, specifically in the animals and pets section, and it needed to say, buy Chow Chow dog Austin, vaccinated with complete pedigree, 8,000 pesos. This would essentially be accepting the ransom request. Demand, really.
That would be the most infuriating part because I've been, I have to tell y'all things.
I know.
Like, I want to talk this through. Because, okay, God, this is so annoying.
She did it, but she added to it.
Okay.
She said she did that, and then she said, we're very concerned for the puppy's well-being. We don't want any harm to come to him. Your request is beyond our economic possibilities.
Oh.
Weeks later, here's what else would infuriate me. This inefficient communication. Like, so weeks could go by without.
Yeah.
Now you have to respond in an ad. You have to place that ad by this deadline, and then it'll run in next week's newspaper. Like,
right.
We need to talk in real time.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, weeks later, she gets another email. And by the way, these are professionals. None of the emails can be traced.
Damn.
Obviously.
I know. I'd be shocked if they're like, so they pulled an IP address.
No. This time it was just a scanned letter handwritten from Eduardo. And it says, I'm suffering more than I can manage. They beat me. They tie me up. I'm naked. I haven't eaten. I'm going crazy. I can't handle this torture anymore. Then it says, our children are going to know that by not paying money, you left me to die. Isn't that
monsters?
Heartbreaking.
Oh, God. My ulcer, I'm getting stress ulcers as we sit here and talk.
Oh, just wait. Jane has to come up with something. So she starts selling whatever she can. She sells farm equipment, their horses, who they like their prized possessions, some of their sheep, anything she can. And even with all that, she only made $20,000.
Oh my God.
These are like rapid fire sales. Like she
needs money.
Needs money. Those horses were probably worth way more.
Yeah.
But she needs money.
Yeah.
So she told the kidnappers that she had that much ready to go, but would never be able to come up with millions.
Mm-hmm.
And they quickly responded that if she didn't have the $8 million by a certain date, they were going to start cutting off Eduardo's fingers. Then they gave her directions to a package Eduardo sent to her. It was buried in a remote location. Obviously concerned for her safety, the AFI agent said, you are absolutely not going. Mm-hmm. And they sent someone to go dig it up. It was a bunch of IOUs signed by Eduardo for her to take to various wealthy businessmen to try to get a loan from them with a promise that Eduardo would pay him back. But it didn't work. The people she asked said the IOUs looked like they were forged and they did not trust them.
Ooh,
and
God.
I think still at this point, she can't say what they're for.
I was about to say.
Why do you need $8 million?
But at that point, I don't know. Okay. I'm just going to listen to AFI, I guess.
Yeah. In October, Eduardo emails her again. He's been gone for 4 months at this point. He tells her that they injected him with HIV-infected blood. He was dying, and he never thought she could be, quote, this cruel and stubborn and such a bitch.
Oh.
The stress is unbearable for Jayne.
Yeah.
She has nowhere near the amount they want, and she knows they're watching her and her kids' every move, and by now the jig is up with the younger kids. It has been for a while. They know what's going on. They're devastated. Every single day after school, they come home and watch home videos of Eduardo.
Oh my God. Okay. Enough out of you.
One night they were sitting around a bonfire saying prayers for Eduardo when the AFI agent signaled to Jayne that they needed to come inside immediately. They do, and he tells them that there was someone crouching in the nearby grass watching them. A man.
Oh my God.
Constant.
Where is your gun, sir?
I know.
Put one in their head.
I don't know. By November, 5 months after the kidnapping, she gets an email with a picture of Eduardo. He's naked, crumbled in the corner of a box, visibly thin. And they tell her that if they don't get 7 figures, they're shooting him in the leg. She's completely helpless.
Yeah.
And then they send her another picture with proof that they were not bluffing.
Oh.
He had been shot in the left leg. 2 weeks later, another picture. He was shot in the arm. As communication picks up, the AFI agent told her that soon there's likely going to be phone calls, and he prepared her for this.
That would be better. I would prefer that than this bullshit posting the ad, whatever. I'd be like, great.
Eventually, the newspaper caught on and was like, I don't like these messages. You're not allowed to place any more ads. So they had to move newspapers. It is, I just, the stress, I can't.
Oh, God, yeah.
So he prepared her for these phone calls, said they're coming. He even set up a dry erase board by the phone with a script on it. That day came, the phone rang, and when she picked it up, it was Eduardo. While very monotone and seemingly following a script himself, he called her a bitch and said, how could you do this to me? It's my money. Which that tells you it's a script, because she's like, we don't have it. You know that.
Absolutely. No, yeah, I know this is not Eduardo speaking.
No, of course not.
No.
She stuck to the talking points the AFI agent told her to, making sure that the kidnappers heard exactly what she needed them to hear. But at the end, she told them how much she loved them and how much the kids missed them, and that she'll do anything she can to get them back. He then softened and told her that he loved her too, and the call was immediately disconnected.
Oh my God, torture.
I know. It makes me want to cry.
I know, you're going to make me cry.
Now Jayne starts getting furious. Again, the stress is immense. And now that she's heard his voice, she was determined to move things along. And she came up with a plan to try to beat the kidnappers at their own game, against the advice of the AFI agent, just so you know.
Oh, wow.
This would be a really tough role to play. But knowing they were watching her every move, she acted like she was giving up. She rented moving trucks and started packing up boxes of all their belongings. Very out in the open. Each day, she put more furniture and stuff in the back of this truck. So those watching would think that she and the kids were moving back to the United States and they were done with this whole thing. She went back to her normal routine, pre-kidnapping. If she noticed a man she didn't know staring at her, like in town, she assumed it was one of the kidnappers. So she would give him a little smile, like just went about her life with an air of like, I'm done with this. Keep them.
Right.
This performance worked, and the kidnappers started bringing the ransom down a little bit. But it was still in the 7 figures. It was at least a start, but still 7 figures was not going to happen.
Yeah.
So she kept it up, going about this like, I'm good, I'm done, carry on.
And AFI said this is not a good idea.
They said, yeah. But
just don't play with them type of thing.
Yeah. Like, but she was like, no, I'm going to keep it up.
Yeah, because in reality, I do not have it. So like, what else am I going to do?
Right.
But, yeah. Oof.
As Christmas and New Year's came and went, Eduardo had been gone for 6 months, and finally they dropped the ransom to mid 6 figures.
Okay.
We don't know how much.
Play ball.
This gives Jayne some hope because it's a lot more doable.
Yeah.
They had a lot of wealthy friends that could front the money. At this point, everyone knows what's going on with Eduardo. Everyone knows about the kidnapping. It's out. The jig is up again. She went to all of her friends that could front the money, desperate for help. And sadly, all of them said no.
Why?
They want nothing. They did not want any
They
involvement.
don't want to get involved. They have, they probably have their own families and kids that they would be freaking out over. But you can do it anonymously, no? I don't. Okay.
Yeah. So she gathered as much as she could from her own family, Eduardo's extended family, but it still wasn't enough. Then, out of the blue, 2 unknown people who she never asked fronted the rest of the money.
Oh.
We don't know who they are or how much it was, but these angels said, "Here, take the money. Do not pay us back. The only condition is that you can never tell anyone who we are."
Wow.
There you go.
Okay.
Now the AFI agent is working with Jayne on real negotiations. Like, now they're close. Now they're getting somewhere.
Are there theories about who did that?
No.
Okay.
No. Why?
I don't know. Okay.
After going back and forth, Jayne finally gets an email that says, "We have a deal."
Oh my God.
They gave her instructions for how to deliver it. It had to be, again, in $100 US bills. And obviously nobody could know. The only other person who knew she came up with the ransom, aside from the 2 donors, was the bank manager. So she let Jayne go in a back room of the bank and count it, make sure it was all there. It was. So they put it in an unsuspecting bag, and Jayne left, as casual as could be.
Oh God.
She even ran into people she knew on the street and like had a nice, easy conversation all while holding a bag full of hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Oh my God.
Crazy.
We're not small talking. I got a jet. Peace.
No, she had to play it cool. Per the instructions, a family member, so Jayne, was to take the money to Mexico City, again, about 4 hours away, check into a specific hotel, and wait there for further instructions. Again, the AFI agent said, absolutely not. It was way too dangerous for Jayne to do this because they would likely take her hostage and just up the stakes. So 2 employees on the ranch, 2 brothers who worked for Jayne and Eduardo for 10 years, said they'd do it.
No.
The kidnappers agreed to let the brothers drop the money off, but before they did, Jayne demanded a proof of life photo.
Oh.
They sent one of Eduardo holding that day's newspaper, but the picture is really sad, and I'll post it. He's emaciated.
Yeah.
And his face, he's so defeated.
Oh.
The brothers go on to Mexico City and check into said hotel that they told them to.
Those brothers, balls as big as Mexico.
I mean, for real.
I mean, wow.
Loyal employees.
Sweethearts, yeah. And if you live through it, we will pay you big. I mean, I'd be like, damn.
So they're sitting in that hotel waiting for further instructions, and 2 days go by, no word. Finally, they get an email, and here's what it said. This is what they had to do. They needed to leave the hotel by 5 p.m. They had to be wearing summer clothes. Mind you, it's winter. It's January at this point.
Yeah, but what's winter in Mexico?
Right.
That's okay.
But for them, it's probably freezing.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
They had to make the letter T on the side of their car using duct tape. No cell phones, no weapons. And if the kidnappers suspected federal police, the deal's off. They had to follow the provided directions to a nearby restaurant and get a note that was taped to a payphone that had further instructions on it. So they did exactly what they were told. The first stop was to a fried chicken restaurant nearby. As the kidnapper said, there was a note taped to the payphone there with a map on it of where to go next. So they drove to the next spot, which was a convenience store. Again, there was a note taped to a payphone with a map on where to go next. This goes on and on.
They're driving. Do not like scavenger hunts.
No.
I would be like, this is exhausting. No.
They're driving all over the city to different restaurants and convenience stores, just getting these maps off of the payphone. Finally, at the last stop, the note said, "This is a photograph. Make sure the person that meets you at the next destination has the missing piece." The picture was Eduardo's proof of life picture holding the newspaper, and his face was cut out. They got to the final destination and were instructed to take the bag of money down a dark alley and meet the person who had the missing piece of the picture. They agreed that one brother will take the bag, the other will wait in the car.
No. What?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Who's going alone?
The older brother.
Oh.
They get there, and the older brother gets out of the car, grabs the bag, walks down the alley, and never comes back.
Stop.
It was a trap. They took the money, and now they kidnapped their employee.
shit.
This poor employee, the poor brother who waited in the car for hours only to realize what happened. And poor Jane, who now has absolutely nothing to offer the kidnappers. And Eduardo was likely going to be killed. When this deal was made, Jane had their doctor and a psychologist on standby to come care for Eduardo because he was coming home. And then she got this call that the whole thing was a ploy.
I am beside myself. Oh my God.
As you can imagine, this was a huge, unexpected blow. And for the first time in 7 months, Jane and the rest of the family saw the AFI agent completely shaken. He never predicted this would happen. One of the sons even caught him standing off by himself, sobbing.
Oh my God, you're going to make me emotional.
Oh my God.
That is not what you want to see in an AFI agent.
No, it was one of his adult sons.
Oh my God.
Walked to the back alley and saw the AFI agent sobbing. He was so upset, not only because they failed the negotiation, but because by now the Valsecas and their employees had become like his family. He considered these two brothers really good friends, and now one of them was gone. He's just really upsetting.
Oh my God.
A few days after this was their oldest son, Fernando's 13th birthday. And Jane had to throw a birthday party for him.
No. Oh God. I know this whole episode is just going to be me huffing and puffing over here, but this is tragic. This really makes me like, okay, I'm in my bubble. I'm very lucky. I know. I mean, all of our stories are, but this is so dark and real. Oh, God.
Yes. It's so sad. It's
horrible. And it
all
happens.
too common.
Yeah, it happens a lot. And I'm like, oh, God, I can't.
Yeah. So it's Fernando's 13th birthday. Jane had to make him a cake and put on a happy face, but it's a very somber occasion.
Sure.
Jane's in the kitchen cleaning up after the birthday cake, and she looks up and sees an older man walking by the window, and she doesn't recognize him. She's like, holy shit, it's the kidnappers. Like, they have been watching her for 7.5 months, and now they're coming to the house for what? To take her, kill the family. The fuck's gonna happen now? He's walking up to the back door, closer towards her, and her stomach drops. It's Eduardo.
Oh my God. It's Eduardo.
After 225 days.
I knew it was going to be.
225 days. On January 24th, 2008, he finally came home.
Unrecognizable.
Wow. He looked like he aged years.
Did the employee get murdered?
Well, now hold on.
Oh, all right.
You'll find out.
All right.
He looked like he had aged years ahead of the 7.5 months he was gone.
Oh, Jesus.
He's emaciated, weighing about 80 pounds. He's incredibly weak. He's very sick. They didn't inject him with HIV-infected blood. They told him it was.
Okay.
No, they told him it was, and they did inject him with blood that didn't match his blood type, and he did get an infection.
Oh, Christ.
So he was very sick, very weak.
Oh.
But it's him, and she gave him a huge hug. He was too weak to speak, so he whispered, "I love you so much."
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. I didn't expect to get misty-eyed.
You didn't? This is a...
Well, I know. I cried during some of my research, and then I've been doing it. This story took me a long time.
Yeah.
So I've just been reading about nonstop, and I don't know. It's just so sad.
Oh, God, I can't.
She told him about the doctors she had on standby, but he refused them for now. He just had one request.
Oh, God.
He told her in a whisper that he had been longing for her banana pancakes, and he asked her to make them.
Sweet. Yes.
She said, of course. But first, she wanted to tell the kids that he was home. They were off in another room, but she didn't want them to see him like this. She said he looked dead, and he was cold. Like she was like, he was a dead man walking. So she got him a big sweater, his favorite bandana, and his cowboy hat that he always wore to like try to make him look bulkier. And then she called the kids in, and they were in complete shock and obviously thrilled. But he couldn't even smile. He couldn't even.
No,
I mean, he was so weak. He had a long road to recovery ahead of him, but he does recover. And we learned the horror that he went through.
Oh, God.
When Eduardo was taken out of the SUV and taken to the second location, he was in and out of consciousness from being hit with the hammer. But he remembers being carried up a stairwell. He was stripped naked and put into a wooden box that was about 6 feet tall, 2 feet wide, and 7 feet long. So picture just a really narrow closet.
Yeah.
The box is all he knew of his environment the entire time. He had no idea if they were in a house, like in a warehouse, what town he was in. He was there the entire time. The box had a hole for air and a bucket for the bathroom, which was rarely emptied. There was also a webcam set up so the kidnappers could watch them all the time. And there was a single light bulb on that never turned off. It was on the entire time. And they blared loud music into the box 24/7. Never turned off.
Wait, the AFI agent, is he gone? Sorry.
No.
Going back. Okay, so he was in the house when he returned?
Gosh, I think so.
Oh my God. Okay.
No, actually. No, I think they were like, that's a wrap.
Because yeah, I bet.
They talked. Actually, yeah, I don't think he was. Because they run through the entire thing and it doesn't say anything about the AFI agent being like, holy shit. I don't know. So, but they go talk to him. So hold on.
Okay.
They blared loud music into the box 24/7 and never turned it off. That's what he was afraid would drive him insane. He said that was the worst. The music was so loud, he lost 15% of hearing in 1 year. Like that loud. He would, oh God. He said that was the worst. He wasn't allowed to talk. He could only communicate through handwritten notes. And like he was putting them under the door, being like, please turn off the music just for a second. Like, oh God. If the kidnappers knocked twice, that was the signal that they needed to open the box, which meant Eduardo had to put the pillowcase back over his head and face the opposite wall so he couldn't see their faces. In 7.5 months, he didn't see one of their faces, not one. However, he noted that some of their accents sounded like they were from South America, not Mexico. Something to note for later.
Okay.
He was beaten daily, and they'd give him just enough food to survive. A piece of fruit or salad, sometimes a hard-boiled egg or a piece of chicken. Obviously, all of the letters and phone calls calling Jane a bitch were coerced. He didn't believe any of that.
No, yeah.
He told the kidnappers over and over through his notes he did not have the money they think he does, but they didn't believe him. And by the time he was shot in the leg the first time, he didn't care. He was so ready to die. He was so ready to die. Then one morning, after 225 days, one of the kidnappers came in, put him against the wall, handcuffed him, and he was like, this is it. They're going to kill me. Mm-hmm. But instead, they dressed him, shaved him, and had him take the proof of life photo for Jane holding the newspaper. Then they put the pillowcase back over his head, put him in the car, drove for a while, and when they stopped, they got him out and faced him towards a wall. It was about 4 a.m., and they took the pillowcase off of his head and told him to start counting to 200 and not to turn around until he got to 200, which is exactly what he did.
Yeah.
When he turned around, they were gone, and he was standing in a cemetery. Next to him was a lunchbox with 2 hard-boiled eggs in it, an apple, and a few pesos to get him home.
Oh, my God.
He starts walking and said it felt like he was on a different planet. This was the first time he had walked in 7.5 months.
And he probably doesn't know where he's going. How did he get home? Okay.
He didn't know where he was, but he found a bus stop along a nearby highway, and there was an old man sitting there, and he told the old man that he needed to get to San Miguel, and the old man confirmed that he was at the right bus.
Oh, my
Thank God.
Thank God, yeah.
So later that morning, he finally made it home.
I feel like I myself am going crazy just hearing this. I don't feel right.
Right.
I'm going to shower after this.
Yep. Even though some of the nightmare is over, they couldn't celebrate because their employee is still being held captive.
No.
So before long, the emails from the kidnappers start back up, and they're demanding a new ransom for the employee's safe return.
Are you kidding me?
Nope. They say if Eduardo and Jane don't meet the demands, they're going to come kill the entire family.
Oh, God.
In the midst of negotiating for the employee, Jane and Eduardo go to Mexico City to meet with federal police, who told them that the threats against their family were very serious and they needed to get out of Mexico for a few months while they investigate. They gave them 48 hours to go pack up their things and go back to the U.S. The federal police, they said they had a lot of significant leads, and they were certain they were going to get the people responsible in custody, and then the Valsecas could come back to the ranch. So they went to stay with Jane's mom in Virginia and waited. 3 months after their move, the employee was let go.
Oh, thank God. Okay.
No ransom paid, no deal made. They just released them without any explanation.
What a mind fuck. Okay, my God.
But
what
wow.
did he go through? The same thing?
Yeah.
You said 3 months?
3 months. I mean, I think very, very similar. But what a huge relief. He's alive. We don't know why. No one knows why. They just let him go. Then a few more months passed, and before they knew it, they had been in Virginia for 6 months and still heard nothing from the federal police. They'd call and follow up on the progress of the investigation, but no one would get back to them. So ultimately, they decided just to move back to the States for good.
Yeah.
They bought a house in Potomac, Maryland, and left their entire lives and most of their belongings at the ranch.
Yeah.
The police commissioner eventually said that told them that the search for the kidnappers was always ongoing. They were not stopping. He said that they knew the ERP was responsible, that group I told you about.
Mm-hmm.
But for national security reasons, they couldn't say anything else about that.
Are they a South American group?
Nope.
Oh.
And this answer wasn't good enough for Dateline. Keith Morrison said, national security, schmational schmucurdy.
He did say that?
Or something like that. Something not as articulate as that, but something like it.
Sure.
They got in touch with a Mexican journalist who specialized in terror groups and kidnappings. And this journalist had contacts within the ERP.
Oh my God.
Assured him over and over again that they had nothing to do with this. And if they did, they would 100% take responsibility. This journalist seemed very suspicious of the police.
Oh, okay.
What?
I jumped out. I thought you were just saying he seemed very suspicious. Like,
no.
He was in on it. I was like, wait.
No. He thought some of the police were likely involved. It wouldn't be the first time some police officers worked with groups like this. I shudder at the thought. But too. Unfortunately, that's the case for a lot of situations.
And then there Rebecca sat, never leaving her house again.
I mean,
that's how you'll remember me.
For real.
Oh,
Eduardo started believing that someone close to the family may be involved. Part of this was because during the negotiations for the employee, when they were threatening to kill their family if they didn't come up with the ransom, they knew a lot of information about them and their kids, very detailed information.
Yeah.
2 years after they moved, Jane and Eduardo finally made their first trip back to San Miguel.
Oh God.
Because they had loose ends to tie up. All their stuff was still at the ranch. They still owned it. Plus they missed it. They just felt like it was time. They wanted to see if they could get a glimpse of what it used to be like in a very short trip. They're only going to be there for a few days. They didn't tell that many people, and they brought bodyguards with them.
Okay.
While there, they saw some old friends. They went by the school. It was a very happy reunion, and things did seem like it was pre-kidnapping, but not for long. One day they came home to the ranch, and the luxury train car, which was parked on the property, was broken into, ransacked, vandalized, completely destroyed on the inside while they were away. They called the police, and the police said they couldn't come file a report because the patrol cars didn't have enough gas in them.
Stop. Okay, well, now I think the police are involved. Yeah.
After this, they said, fuck this. The happy reunion with the place they loved was over. They sold the ranch to be done with it for good, cut off ties to San Miguel. They said they felt so betrayed.
Yeah.
So they said, good riddance forever.
Yeah.
After this, the commissioner called them to say they ran out of leads and would not be making an arrest. He also requested that they don't talk to the media about this ordeal, to which Eduardo and Jane said, hello, Dateline? We would love to do an interview.
Boy, do we have a story for you.
And they became huge advocates for kidnapping victims and their families in Mexico.
Oh.
Sadly, during the... Oh, God.
Oh, fuck.
I'm not done either after this. This is where I thought I was going to end it. And then I was like, what? Sadly, during the 7.5 months of extreme stress trying to get Eduardo back, Jane felt off and had a gut feeling her cancer was back. But she ignored it to focus on the task at hand. And 2 weeks after he came back, she found out that she was right. This time it was stage 4 and terminal. She released a book called We Have Your Husband, which I sourced in the beginning. I didn't read the whole thing because they didn't have it on ebook, and it was going to take too long from Amazon to get here. Amazon is I was like, oh, fuck. But I read there's
December is a hell of a month for Amazon.
Yeah. There was a 50-page preview or something. So I read some of it.
Yeah.
It was released on May 3rd, 2011. 1 year later to the day, on May 3rd, 2012, she died at her home in Potomac, surrounded by her family.
Oh.
She was only 45 years old.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, she was young.
That's really young.
After she died, her friends set up the Jane Rager Fund at the Waldorf School in Washington, D.C. to honor her passion for children's education.
Mm-hmm.
In the 10 years following Eduardo's kidnapping, there were 10 other kidnappings reported in San Miguel, all with the same circumstances as Eduardo's. Naked, in a box, starvation, ransom, all of it. But police couldn't figure out who was behind it. Until one day in May 2017.
Oh.
On May 30th, 2017, a cab driver in San Miguel pulled over to pick up a man who was hailing his taxi. The man was wearing a hat and sunglasses and holding a package.
Oh, God.
When the cab driver pulled over, the man told him that he'd pay him 10 times the fare amount to take the package and deliver it to a nearby restaurant. The driver said, sure. He took the package, but as he was driving, he noticed that the man who gave it to him jumped into a pickup truck and was following closely behind him. He was like, what the hell is going on? So he felt the package and became even more suspicious of what was inside of it. So he calls the police and begs them to help because something sketchy is going on. The police told him to pull into a gas station and pretend he's getting gas and kill time for them to get there.
Oh, God.
He did, and the truck pulled in behind him. The police get there, and they see that in the package is a severed finger.
Stop.
They immediately arrested the man in the truck who was tailing the cab. The finger belonged to a French-American woman who had been held captive for over 2 months. They were sending her finger to her family, who I think were in L.A., to hurry them along with the $1 million ransom. Police found where she was being held and rescued her, and it was the exact same environment Eduardo was in. She was naked, in a box, starving. The man driving the truck was Raul Escobar Poblete. I'm sure I'm butchering the last name, but that's just what it is. He and one of his accomplices, Ricardo Palma Salamanca, were ex-revolutionaries from Chile who were responsible for a string of assassinations and escaped from a Chilean prison via helicopter in 1996 and had been on the run ever since.
Oh, my God.
Were wanted by Interpol. Escaped from prison via helicopter. How in God's name?
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a whole story. I could know, but I did not. I couldn't go down that rabbit hole.
You got to stop the research at some point.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. They've been on the run since 96.
Yep. Almost 20 years. Over 20 years. This is 2017 at this point.
Wow.
They, along with Escobar's wife and a few other accomplices living in San Miguel under fake names and identities, were arrested following this cab driver's astute observation.
Mm-hmm. Well, you escape prison successfully. I think you would, fly under the radar, but I guess no.
Well, they did under a fake, identity.
Yeah, but still pulling some risky shit.
I know, but they were
AFIs involved, and although they don't seem low key if they escape prison from using a helicopter. So
no, and they're from their own very professional group. So
yes,
this group, which is not part of the EPR, was suspected of running a kidnapping ring linked to some of the most high-profile abductions for ransom in Mexico while posing as upstanding citizens. They had families. They owned a cafe in San Miguel. The ringleader, Escobar, who's driving the truck, was on the PTA board at his kid's school.
Stop.
People in town were shocked. After the bust, Eduardo flew from D.C. to Mexico and went to the house where they believed they were keeping their victims. It was where the French-American woman was being held. It was just outside of town and surrounded by a ton of land. Eduardo's walking around to see if he could recognize the layout based on anything he observed while he was in captivity. Like, he knows he went to the second floor. Like, he knows that he went upstairs at one point. Things like that. And there are stairs. There is a second floor. Things like that. And at this point, it's abandoned. And I believe the real names of the people responsible were released. But again, they were living under aliases. So this house is abandoned. There's nothing in it. But as he's walking around, kind of feeling it out, he happens upon a picture and an old electric bill on the dusty ass floor.
Holy shit.
The picture is of Escobar, the ringleader, and his wife. And the bill is addressed to Escobar's alias, which was Ramon Guerra. Eduardo picks them up and he is stunned. He knows them. He knows them really well.
Oh my God.
Escobar's son went to the Waldorf school.
I was about to ask.
Yep. And Escobar was a trustee at the school. The PTA board he served on was at their school, Eduardo and Jayne's school.
When you said he served on PTA, I was going to be like, of the Waldorf school?
Yep.
School. Oh my God.
And the connections are not done. Escobar's other son, who was much older, was dating Eduardo's granddaughter.
Shut up.
Remember, Eduardo had adult children from a previous marriage when he met Jayne. Like, they were already older. Now it's 2017. I guess one of them had a daughter. She was dating the kidnapper's son. The Valsecas and who they thought were the Guerra family knew each other very well. They liked him. Life of the party.
My mind is blown.
Eduardo is absolutely shocked. No wonder the kidnappers knew so much personal information about him.
Oh my God. Once the jig was up, I bet Jayne confided in them. I mean, who knows? But
I mean, they weren't like that close, I don't think, but certainly knew enough to, you know, dig up whatever information they wanted to. I mean,
well, to be a trustee at the school,
at the school is a big deal. Yeah, no, they knew him well. They weren't. I don't think they were best friends, but they're like, wow. And he was like, my granddaughter loves that family. Like, that she's over there all the time. Or she was. They're, yeah, obviously. Shocking.
Wow. Yeah.
Escobar was sentenced to 60 years in prison for kidnapping the French-American woman. He's never been charged in Eduardo's kidnapping and likely never will. But remember, I told you there were 10 kidnappings in San Miguel in the 10 years after Eduardo's?
Yeah.
Exact same conditions, boxed, starvation, naked. They all stopped after Escobar's arrest.
There you go.
So do what you will with that.
And it took a cabbie. So they've been sending probably severed fingers to all 10 of these families.
Oh, yeah. That was like their MO.
And the cops still couldn't. Yeah, I'm with that reporter. I'm a little suspicious of that. Cops still couldn't find a way to intercept some of those packages, or like, I don't know. Okay.
Yeah. Right. So yeah, he was sentenced to 60 years in prison. A lot of the accomplices fled the country and, to my knowledge, have never been found.
Oh God.
Eduardo is still in the DC area. The kids are all grown up now. The ranch was sold to developers. The school moved. It's still open, but it moved off the property. He said losing Jayne was way worse than the kidnapping.
Oh, please. Enough with your tragic one-liners.
I know. Oh, and I forgot to say that as of 2 years ago, Escobar was extradited to Chile because he has some murders to answer to there as well.
I'm sure.
And prison escapes. When asked about this traumatizing ordeal, Eduardo said he focuses on the future, not on what happened. He said, quote, I can't just feel sadness in my heart, you know? Life's too short.
Oh, my God.
That is
Eduardo.
The devastating story of the whole Valseca family. It's awful.
Oh, God. I am very stressed out.
Jayne,
that's terrible. Jayne.
Badass.
And she didn't get to know who did it.
Nope.
Oh, she knows, actually.
Yeah.
She knows. Oh, my God. That is devastating.
How insane is that story?
It makes me, I want to go down a rabbit hole the rest of the day. Thank you very much.
It's so scary.
It's terrifying.
Patrons: Elise, Carly, Bobby Joe, Mackenzie, Brittany, Allie, Hannah, Ren, Jennifer, Meredith, Jasmine, Gary, Camilla, Jen, and Sydney.
Yes.
I know. Thank y'all.
That was a good batch. Thank y'all. Keep it up.
Great batch. Okay, I have 3 custom shout outs. The first one's from Megan. Shout out to my big sister and best friend, Brittany. I don't know what I would do without you to constantly obsess over reality television and true crime with. Hell yeah, which reality TV?
Yeah.
Here's hoping our little girls, Molly and Maylee, are as obsessed with both as we are. They will be.
They will be.
Totally. The next one's from Jana. I would like to do a shout out for my badass daughter, Janessa. She's a correctional officer at a prison. Holy shit.
Stop.
She doesn't realize what a badass she is. She has overcome so much in her life. She has a degree as an MA and also in criminology. Proud mama here. Wow, that's badass.
Wow, that is.
That is badass. The last one's from Callie. I couldn't. Okay, this is really funny. I couldn't decide what to do as a custom shout out. So I'm just going to say I also didn't know what IE or EG actually stood for / meant.
Thank you.
EG is for example. IE is that is. I can't remember what episode that was, but Callie, something tells me you're on a older episode. I kind of remember talking about that.
So, I still just use IE, even though I never know. I don't know why. Everything. I'm like, I know it's wrong. I think.
God, all your coworkers are like, what a dipshit.
Don't care.
Thank y'all so much.
Thank you so much. Y'all are the best. People are the worst.
And scariest.
And very scary.